fashion blogger. I grew up in Germany, in South Germany, in Heidelberg. I'm half Ghanaian and I moved to New York, Brooklyn specifically 8 years ago. I studied actually English, German and politics when I lived in Germany, because initially I wanted to become a journalist. It was always my dream to write, and then it didn't really work out that way and I started working in marketing. So in Germany I worked for a big company in marketing, and then after a couple of years I just felt like I wanted to live in a really cool big city and have some diversity around me. So that's why I decided to move to New York 8 years ago, and I have been here since. I mean, Brooklyn is very diverse. You know, Brooklyn has lots of heritage, lots of Caribbean heritage, and lots of. It's a very, or at least it used to be historically a very black neighborhood, and now it's also changing a lot. It's very hip and trendy now to live in Brooklyn. But in Brooklyn is lots of culture, lots of art. I feel lots of people who are entrepreneurs, or designers, or artists live in Brooklyn, and that just kind of is very inspiring. But I think like Brooklyn helped me to kind of express myself, you know, more creatively, and kind of also Brooklyn, or I would say New York, helped me to be more daring, to just try out things and see what happens. I feel like the context I lived in, or living in Germany in itself, doesn't necessarily encourage you to just try out things and start your own little business on the side. I think that's more kind of a New York vibe that helped me to do that. Like, for example, when I tell someone I'm black and German, hardly anyone asks me why or think it's weird. In Germany, even though I am German, like I have a German passport, German is my mother tongue, whenever someone meets me, they always want to know where I'm from and where I'm from originally, and just after a while it just gets on your nerves, because you're like, I'm born here, just accept it, that I'm black and German. And I don't have to justify my blackness here, that I'm black and European, black and German, half African. Nobody really questions that. It's more like people think it's a cool asset, or you can meet so many people, you know, who are, you know, black European or black something else. But the downside, of course, is being black in the US, definitely you're more criminalized than in Europe. I definitely feel differently about the police here than in Germany. In Germany, I was never afraid about the police. I always knew, like, what should they do to me? You know, I have my rights and I can express them, and I have a passport, so therefore there's nothing they can really do about it. And I was never afraid of them. And in Germany, it's a different attitude. If the police stops you, you kind of give them, you argue with them, you tell them like, what the hell, what's going on? And here, I would never dare to do that, I think. I think here I would say I feel sometimes in situations I could imagine being scared about the police. So I feel like I don't want to be stopped by them in a car. I don't want to engage with them, I don't want to talk to them. So it's different. It's definitely a different kind of feeling. And of course it's scary, because I mean, we live in the year 2015, and as a black person in the US, you're kind of scared of an authority that represents the state and supposed to support you. And the other thing, in Germany, I think I would have always called the police if something happens. Here I sometimes wonder if someone breaks into my apartment, or if someone would attack me, I don't think I would call the police, because I would feel like the police always criminalizes you immediately if you're a black person, and you don't get the benefit of the doubt that you might not be the attacker, but the one who actually needs support or help. So I always feel like, what would I do if someone would break into my apartment, someone would attack me? I think I would call a friend, but not the police. At least I can't imagine. I can't imagine. It's like not the image of your friend and helper. It's more like the enemy, to be honest. I started it about 4.5 years ago, and it's about, I started it. It was kind of a time when in fashion and in magazines on TV, lots of kind of the revival of the African print came up, and everyone was kind of selling it as something new, and it kind of bugged me, because I was like, it's not new, it's kind of been there and been around for a long time, and now all those designers are trying to incorporate it in their designs and pretending it's the latest and greatest. So I got curious to research and to find out what designers are actually there that have African heritage. So that's why I just decided to call my blog African Prints in Fashion, because initially I didn't really understand the scope of what is there regarding African fashion, what is really, how sophisticated some of the designs already are and how great so many designers are. So when I started researching it, I realized there's so many awesome and interesting designers who incorporate their heritage, or some parts of the heritage of their typical African prints or fabrics or materials, or they just get the inspiration from it into the designs. And then I realized this is really great, a big market and an interesting market, and I want to be able to share what I find with my readers. And the prints, and eventually I realized it's not about the print, it's just about the imprint, you know, that the diaspora, that Africans leave on the fashion industry, and how kind of the whole fashion context gets bigger, and Rome and Berlin and Paris are not any longer the only big fashion cities, but now it's also Lagos and Cape Town. So I thought that's kind of interesting, and it keeps on happening, keeps on developing, and that's why I keep on blogging about it. It's a lot of work, but as it's my passion, it keeps me going, and I'll see how I can eventually develop it as my main job. But so far, it's my kind of one of my jobs. I remember I was in Harlem. I was standing on the subway platform, and there was a woman in front of me wearing a bag which said Madrid, Rome, London, Paris. And I was just thinking, why everyone always has like European city names or American city names on their bags? I wanted a bag with African city names. So I went home and kind of thought, like, thinking about it. I started researching how I could make this happen, and then I started my African city bag, I think last year in August. I think I had an idea in June, July, and then in August I just started it to see how it goes. So basically there was kind of an enhancement of my brand. I mean, I do marketing for a living, so kind of just making everything professional and work together and connect together, just something what I do anyhow. So I just kind of applied what I do in my day-to-day job to my blog, and it kind of worked. So no, I definitely love what I do, you know, I really like it, and I'm trying to get the whole bag thing more professionalized. Right now everything's produced in the US, and I would like to produce it on the African continent, because it would just work, you know, African city bag made in Africa, the whole concept would work nice, but it's not as easy to get this accomplished as I thought initially, but I'm working on it, and I think I'm pretty sure eventually